everybody. Welcome back to Just a Sister Thing, and this is my little crafty corner. And I was thinking about this for the last couple days, and I think I want to try something a little bit different, something that I haven't done before. I actually didn't look it up on YouTube. There's probably about 10,000 videos because I'm by no means an originator, but it sounded like something that would go into my current Book of Shadows junk journal that I'm making. I wanted something very earthy with seeds and stuff like that. So I have taken tea bags and decoupaged them over top of a heavy plastic. And then when it's still soft but pretty much dry, you peel it off and you're left with this, which when you work with it, when it's fresh, it's pretty malleable. After a while, and I made pockets and I made things out of this with fabric on the backing and stuff. But once it hits this point, then it's really good for, maybe only good for chopping and making some cool trims on your cards or on your paper. So, having done that, I wanted to make some tags for Tag-Along Tuesday. We don't need those. So I have this beautiful piece of cardstock. It's not real fancy. It's one of the more plain pieces out of this Tuxedos and Tiaras, but I didn't want to go, I could have went with something like that, but I wanted something that was more neutral, that could be written on when I cut it into tags. So I say, let's jump in and do this. I'm literally pulling up my sleeves so I don't goober them. Okay, so I have this pile of coffee filters and giant tea bags and stuff like that. And they still have, some of them have tea in them and some of them don't. So some of them I've stripped out. But I thought it would be very cool. See, I have these little piecey parts. I thought it would be very cool to actually drop some of the tea on some glue, and then you'd be able to see it through the tea bags. So that's my plan for the next couple of minutes. And I will probably fast forward through this so that you don't have to, you can see that I'm tearing apart my tea bags, but I don't want you to have to actually sit there for, the allotted time that this is going to take. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tea bags, open them up, and I'm going to take off this little, I don't know if you can see that. It's like a little edge to it. But I don't want an edge on this. I want it to look like paper when it's done. So there's that one. And I think I am going to do that with the seeds, because that might be a cool idea. Let me dump that off of there. Got some little other things on there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some glue. I'm just flying off the cuff here on the seat of my pants. Just seeing what this will be like. If it turns out horrible, you'll never know because I'll get rid of the video. Alright, so let me take this little tea bag, chop it open. And I'm going to let it stick to that glue, because the journal that I'm working on is the Book of Shadows. And the girl that I'm making this Book of Shadows for is very much into gardening and herbs and things like that. So I think it's going to look cool. We're going to find out. Okay, I'm going to set this to the side and let it dry a little bit. Oh, my cat will probably come and jump on that. Okay, so while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and fast forward the video, and I'm going to start tearing apart these little tea bags. dumped off the excess seeds. Oh, how'd I miss that guy? And I think we're safe to get rid of a lot of this. Put this back over where it goes. And then we're going to get our Mod Podge. Alright, so what I like to do, just pour my Mod Podge on. I'm going to smooth it out. And I'm hoping these little seeds are going to show through when we start getting it on there. Okay. So I'm going to just lay these every which way. But oh, there's my newbie. There's my newbie. As soon as I start talking, that's when newbie shows up. Okay, so I want to overlap them a little bit. So I'm just going to push down with some of the Mod Podge. Take off my glasses. I'm just going to put a little bit on my paper here so that I have it. And I don't know what tea we were drinking at the time, but this is like a very rosy color. I'm going to take this all the way down here, maybe over a little bit. I'm okay with it hanging over the sides because what I'll do is use my trimmer and just trim it down nice and straight, and then I'll cut my tags out. Sorry if I'm off the screen a little bit. I might be, so pull that forward a little bit. Oops. I know when I do my, the one that I peel off of plastic, I can work with that for quite a bit before it gets to that real hard stage. That's how I shape it into little purses and little, oh, I use them all different ways. But after a while, it kind of settles in and becomes hard. So then I use it as accent pieces. Let me move my Mod Podge over here. So it is a cold and blustery day outside. I just went outside. I do believe it's in the teens. So I don't know what part of the planet you're on, but I hope it's not that cold. I'm just overlapping that. Gives it a little bit more depth. So I kind of had a thought. Sticking a little bit here. That's okay. I kind of had a thought. Maybe I might like to put a couple, like I have these Shabby Dabby Doodah printable butterflies and moths. This might be moths. And I'm thinking that I want to put some of them on there. Get off of there. And seal them. And when I cut them, they'll be cut at different spots, but I don't know. I think that might be kind of cool. So bear with me. I'm going to take a minute here and cut out a couple. Okay, now that part is over. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stop the video, and I'm going to clean up my workstation, and I'm going to use the dryer and dry this. I did leave some of it blank because I don't know that I want butterflies on all of my tags. So I left a little, a quarter, and I will cut those out because I may do something else with them. I don't know. But this way, I have a good supply. I'm good to go. And when I'm pushing down, when I'm putting these pieces together, I'm applying a lot of pressure to really get through the layers of I don't want to call it fabric, but it's definitely not paper that they make the tea bags out of. So apply a little bit of pressure. I'm putting a little pressure on the butterflies as well.
The next day.
Okay, so everything has dried. And actually something came up and I let it dry overnight because I had to go take care of some other things. And even though I put this on a cardstock, I feel like it's just not really heavy enough for a tag. So I have this beautiful paper here. It's a plaid from American Crafts, which I either assume is Joann's or it's Michael's. And I apologize, I'm losing my voice. But I thought the colors were very complimentary, very pretty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my glue stick and put these two together and see if that kind of makes me feel a little bit better. All of my little edges, which I said we would take care of after, I'm going to use this sanding block, and I'm just going to sand those all off. Sorry for the noise. It's very loud. That gives it a nice, clean edge. And so what I'm doing is I'm pulling backwards. I'm pulling it down. If you do it in the opposite direction, it's going to peel up and you're going to be gluing it all back down all day long. So we don't want to do that. And we're definitely going to ink that edge anyhow. So and some of this is going to need a little touch-up. And that's just the nature of working with decoupage. So I'm going to take my glue stick and adhere these together. And it doesn't have to be real fancy, real fussy, because I'm definitely going to stitch around each of the tags, not just around the paper itself. Although this would be pretty to do the rolling stitch all over the top. But in this instance, I think I'm just going to do around the tag itself. Oops. Big goober. Big old goober there on that one. Okay. So, I'm going to do that. Line up my little corner. My page is a little bigger than I realized, or else this one actually probably shrank. Okay, so I've been thinking about this, and I think I want 3-inch tags. Okay, sorry for all that noise. So, I think I'm going to go with 3 to 3.5 inch tags. Get down there. Okay. Yeah, I think that background, that's very pretty. You can still write on that with a gel pen. I see what this measures out to be. It should be close to 12. It's slightly less than 12. So let's see what a 6-inch tag would look like. Yeah, I think that's a nice size tag. So I'm going to go with those. Oops, let me take that edge off. So this is where it sticks over a little bit. Now, after I sew that, I'm probably going to take my sanding block and sand that off. But it'll be held nice and straight with the stitching. Now, I think you could make this in all kinds of different sizes, you know, 3x4, 3x3 little journaling cards. 6x6 journaling card would be nice. But I just need a bunch of little tags. Okay. So I think we're done with that for a little bit anyhow. And what I'm going to do is pause the video, and then I'm going to stitch just a simple stitch all the way around each one of these, and then I'll bring them back and we'll start decorating. Okay, so everything is stitched, and I did a very simple stitch, just a straight stitch, as straight as I get anyhow. I coiled up my leftover string and I zigzagged over it, and I really do really like that background. That was a happy accident. So I mean, they're pretty enough to just use without even going on to decorate them any further. Every one of them I did just a simple stitch. This one I did the extra curvy stitch, added that on. It wasn't necessary, but I thought it would be pretty to try that. And like I said, I'm going to hold it up close. Hopefully you can see all the seeds. It's just very, I just wanted something very natural, very naturey. I think they're really pretty, especially with the moths added onto it. So I say let's decorate a couple of these. Some of them I left without butterflies and moths because maybe I will use that in a steampunk journal. Oh, and after I turned off the camera, I realized I forgot to cut my corners, so I wanted to let you know that I cut the corners. All that stitching on all of the tags. How many tags do I have? There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8 tags. It took me maybe 10 minutes, about 10 minutes. If you don't have a sewing machine or you don't like sewing paper, then I would take Fabri-Tac and glue each one around the edges. Make sure you're really in there so they don't come apart. But I really I love the paper. I was hoping it was going to turn out like that, and it's really pretty. Okay, so being I'm doing a nature themed Book of Shadows, I wanted to do mushrooms. I don't feel like I got a lot of mushrooms in this journal, so I'm going to put some mushrooms on there. I know people are looking at me like, why aren't you using a tearing ruler? But I kind of really wanted it very jaggedy. And obviously, it's not going to fit on there, but I'm going to trim it down. If you tear with your paper, holding your paper with one hand and pushing away, I know this is going to sound like, okay, everybody knows that, but some people may not. You push away with your other hand, and then it will give you a colored edge as opposed to the white edge. So I'm still going to ink it, but I think that when you tear it the other way, you have a tendency to get that white edge, and it's hard to ink. It's hard to get it to be the same. Okay, so I think you can see what I'm saying. No white edge. I mean, probably everybody knows that, but that's from my scrapbooking days. Because, yeah, I did a lot of paper tearing then, too. Okay, so... now, I like that, but that looks like a butterfly. It's probably not, but it looks like a butterfly to me. It kind of matches. So I think what I'm going to do is try to separate them. I should say that I got all of my mushroom prints from Graphics Fairy. That way I know I'm safe and nobody's going to come back and say, oh, you stole my design or whatever. I trust them pretty implicitly. And most of their stuff comes from museum prints. So I like that. Is it going to fit on there is the question. Tear that down just a tad bit. So I'm going to show my butterfly. It's just something very soothing about tearing paper and creating something very intimate with your hands. Watching people, watching their reactions when they get it, and they're like, oh, never even thought of doing something like that. And it's very, very comforting, very soothing. So I do have this little, I don't even know where I got it, but it's like a little tree trunk. And I think that's kind of cool. I have, let's get my little bag of goodies out. I'm going to just dump them over here by my glasses. These are all little piecey parts of fabric, fibers, and I just kind of draw on them when I need them. Let me move this guy over here. See if I need this on there. I'm thinking I don't need that on there. But I think what I do need is a little bit of, this is not coffee dyed. I used, what did I use on that? Actually, I used my distress ink. Excuse me. I used the oxide. And I just take that out and put a little bit on waterproof mat and roll it around on it. Okay, so yeah, I think we need a little bit of this. And maybe that's it. The paper itself is so pretty and so textured. I was a little nervous about it, but I'm really liking it. Yeah, I like that. Just trying to keep it kind of simple. I'm going to smush that. Kind of spread it out a little bit. I like this little edge here, so I'm going to let that show. This is probably overkill. I may not actually need something as strong as Fabri-Tac, but it's very, very bumpy. The seeds made it very, very bumpy. So I think what I want to do is pull that out a little bit so it shows. Like that. Love it. Full of Fabri-Tac now. But yeah, I think that's going to be very pretty in that journal. And I think with my simple theme here, I'm going to do something very similar on this as well. So I like my little mushrooms. Just let that go off the edge a little bit. That Fabri-Tac just rolls off. Oh, I get too much stuff in the way there from my glue. All right, I love this little moth. He has the right tone to him. Kind of matches. I really am drawn to this. I think I'm going to put it on there anyhow. Why not? while I'm doing that, I'm working on another journal. Reach over. And this little journal this is a very small journal for me. It has a lot of purples in it. And so what I want to do is I'm going to take one of these cards and do a little purple something something on it. Oh, I didn't even realize I picked the one with the extra stitching on it, which I like. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Because I kind of like that, so I think I'm going to do it on this one as well. I think I'm going to bunch it up a little bit, make it interesting. Got my Tim Holtz ideology. Let's see if I can find a nice little phrase. Well, I found a nice phrase. It's very long, but it's kind of cool. So, got a little inky dinky doo here. And this is where my fingers always get. Everybody's always like, you have brown fingertips. Well, I'm always trying to ink up the teeny tiniest little things. I'm going to clean that real quick. That's pretty. As if this were a traveled road. Glue everywhere. Oh, this is cute. A very little cottage. Love it. Gotta ink it. Very obsessed with the inking of it. But it's a nature book. Nature themed. Tuck that underneath that. And I don't know, those are pretty cute. And ordinarily you wouldn't glue these on, but my battle is with the stapler itself. Excuse me. Yeah, I don't think I have that down far enough. Let me bring that down a little bit. A little bit. Be fine back here. Okay, I love it. I love my big stapler. We don't always see eye to eye, but I do love it. I had this little tiny feather out because I'm like, I'm going to find a place for that. I haven't found a place for it yet, but I do love it. Okay, so I think on this one, I'm going to blow bomb it. I forgot I dubbed these out. Now, this one's a little bulkier than that one, so obviously it would slip nice. If I go ahead and do this, which I'm probably going to, you could slip that under a belly band. I don't know that it's going to fit into a pocket. But I kind of like the idea of putting a couple buttons on. There are probably people out there going, ooh, way too much, way too far, he went too far. But I don't know, I can't stop. I need another little one. Oh, there's a nice little one. And too much, maybe. I don't know. I think it's adorable. I love it. But once you've got the base down, once you have made the paper and turned it into a nice heavy cardstock, because I actually think this plaid paper was literally just paper. It wasn't a cardstock. You know, you can do anything with them. You can go shabby chic, stitch it with white instead of brown or black, and I think that'd be very pretty. A long time ago, like, I don't know, 20 years ago when I was doing scrapbooking, I bought paper that had seeds worked into it, woven into it. And I loved it. And of course I hoarded it because I didn't know if I'd ever get it again. You know how that story goes. Okay. What I want to do is pop one of those in there. Not sure if I have the right one yet. We're going to find out. Oh, yep, perfect. And I want to put I've got these nice little oxide dyed scraps. So I want to pop one of those in there. Realized how white my edges are. So before I put that in there and I can't get to them again, I'm going to go ahead and go around all these edges. Okay, that's better. Make this more of a traditional tag with the little hole and the pulling the thingy through and all of that. Oh, and my little thingy popped out. Oh, sometimes that happens. So frustrating. So I'm going to have to go through there and I'm just going to glue that into its spot. Because that's my biggest one anyhow, so I wouldn't be able to, would not be able to punch a bigger one in there. So we'll be delicate with it. I have this cute little tag and I thought, that would be nice. I have a little ball pin, so I'm going to just pop that on there. So there we go. I mean, I don't know. I think it's a very nice little tag. Are you going to do a whole journal with them? No, because they are probably a little too time consuming. But to have a nice little accent here and there, I think they're fantastic. And it was a fun journey. So I won't torture you with watching all of my tags get made. That's going to be super pretty. But at least we've got a start, and I hope that you are able to find some tea bags, which we always have a lot of tea bags, and make a couple really pretty tags. You could make pockets. I was going to make this one into a journaling card, but I could not get my hole punch through that. So I will warn you that it's not always easy to get the hole punch. Or not the corner punch, sorry. Yeah, did not cut it. So there we go. That's our little Tag Along Tuesday. Got a nice base set of tags, and like and subscribe, and please, if you try them, take pictures and pop them in the box down below so that I can see what you have created. All right, have a great Tuesday.